it going, everyone? Tim here, Tier D Adventures. Hope everyone's all well out there. As always, thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. So, it's been a little bit, but on the last, tried to catch up during that last live stream. Still been pretty busy in the background. Just haven't had quite the time at home to get some videos done. Fell behind, so let's get back after it. So, on the bench today, we have my VS4-10 Phoenix, and we're going to go on the more scale side with it. With Crawlapalooza coming up, there are a lot of classes at Crawlapalooza. Class 1, 2, 3, there's SCX6 class, there's a Class 0, Sporty, MOA, Super, Uphill Rock Racing, TTC, even some U4 stuff. So this year, I wanted to try to get into as many classes as I could. You know, I'm there for the whole weekend. I might as well try to drive as much as I can. So going through everything, one of the few trucks that I was missing was a Class 0. Crawlapalooza's done Class 0 the past 3 years. I did it the first year and had an absolute blast with it. I just didn't, and I missed it last year because I didn't have a truck ready to rock and roll. I had sold my previous Class 0 the year before, so I was like, you know what, let's get back after it. And I had my original VS4-10 Phoenix that I've been setting just in a parts pile for a while, that I'd just been lazy and hadn't put together. I was like, you know what, I can put that back together, I can get a body, and we could do some Class 0. So that was my plan of attack. So underneath everything here, we do have just a stock base VS4-10 Phoenix. Like I mentioned, it was in a parts pile because I broke a couple gears and stuff. So got the VFD twin all put back together, pieced the F10 portal axles back together, and then it was like, okay, now going over like the Class 0 rules for Crawlapalooza are pretty basic. It's hard bodies required, no body modifications, no bobbing the bed, no holes, anything like that. If there are holes in the bed, they have to be covered by a tonneau cover or a topper, stuff like that. You know, full windshield, full front rear bumpers. They have to stick out past the body and the tires. Tire maximum was 4 inches, so 4 inches or smaller are your acceptable tires, and 100% tire coverage and like 10 scale accessories. And I think inner fenders, all 4 corners. So maybe a few more here and there, but that was the gist of it. You know, those are the big pieces, and a full 3D interior with a driver. It has to be a 3D interior with a driver for our upcoming events. So nothing too crazy. So VS4-10 Phoenix as my base, so F10 portals, so they're a little bit wider. So I needed to manage 100% tire coverage. So I was looking at some bodies, and I had a body that would have worked, but the bed had already been bobbed, so that whole body was scrapped because I couldn't get just the bed for that body anymore. So doing some looking, measuring some other bodies that I've seen around, and I was like, you know what, the killer body LC70 is going to work perfect. It's a little bit wider. It comes in a variation kit. There's like a stock white kit, which comes with full molded bumpers and narrow fender flares and everything else. And there's ones like this that also comes in a white, comes in like this army green and like a tan. That's more, I guess, more of an aggressive kit. It doesn't come with the molded bumpers. It comes with these wider fender flares and stuff like that. So I was like, and it's already painted, and I like that green. So we got that body, because it's going to be wide enough to match my track width, and then wheelbase wise, the wheelbase of the killer body match the VS4-10 wheelbase. Pretty good. I think it's like 12.3, 12.5 is the wheelbase for this body and the VS4-10 Phoenix. So right on the money there. So all in all, got everything all mounted up. Came out pretty good there. Everything's nice and simple. And you see you do have a full 3D interior in there, and an old faithful trusty skeleton driver. Fitting the body wasn't too terrible. I did have to cut through the bed for some shock towers because I didn't feel like getting a cantilever set up and everything. I was like, you know what, we're just going to cut through the bed and we'll cover it up with a tonneau cover and stuff like that. I just took like an M4 bolt through one of the stock cross braces back there, and then one of the Proline M4 caps to secure the rear. And then the front, I used one of the body mounts that came in the actual body kit. I mounted it up there on the front, used some Velcro on the top, and it holds everything nice and secure. And then, so once I got the body and everything fitted, then it was time for, you know, the details. Got the interior in there nice and easy. I've got my inner fenders in there, and then it was time for some bumper work. So that took a little bit, but because with the body and everything mounted as low as it can go, there's a pretty big gap here from the chassis where like a stock bumper would go to the bottom of the grill. And I don't like gap between bumper and grill. I just don't. So looking around for bumpers, it's like I could have fabbed one up, but I was like, I'm kind of in a time crunch. I was kind of running out of time, so I just hopped on Amazon, ordered a cheap $20 bumper that was wide enough for what I needed. And I was like, you know what, and it came with a couple different ways to mount it up. I was like, you know what, I think I can make something work, or I can make a mount if I need to. So ended up actually working out pretty good. Width-wise was fine, and then the bumper here in this area has like a winch mount for like a scale like on the RC four-wheel drive winches. Well, those holes lined up perfectly with the mounts for like the bumper where you would put those set pins through to hold a bumper in. So I just mounted it on top of that and put a little spacer right there. So it put the bumper up flush with the grill. So like I said, visually, it's not the prettiest, but I'd rather see this right here than to see a gap here. That gap, I don't like that gap. So I made some visual sacrifices. I'd rather have the gap down here than up here. And then my winch line and everything was to come through. Got some D-rings on there. And like this bumper did come with like a big grill guard. But the center section wouldn't fit. But I was like, you know what? I wanted to keep this top bar because it just barely goes over the front of the hood there. So I was like, if anything, like I said, the front's Velcro down. So if something does come loose, this kind of helps keep that there a little bit. And I could just lift up on it and slide it out of the way and pull the body off and everything else like that. The rear bumper, nice and simple, just some 3/16 tube, a little weld action, and called it good. Just sticks right there just past the body. And I wanted something, I didn't want a big bulky bumper back here. I wanted some tube, something that could slide as easy as possible, because since I can't bob the bed, there's quite a bit of real estate back here, about half a mile of real estate behind those rear tires, which is, you know, something I'm never a fan of, hanging so much body behind the rear tires, but it's class 0. And the courses aren't going to be super extreme because most of the trucks there, they're class 0, super tiny tire trucks. And a lot of them that actually run tend to be shelf queens. So they don't make courses that'll, like, you're risking breaking your truck and ruining paint and stuff like that. The courses are pretty well standard. I mean, even near stock RC 4-wheel drive, like Trailfinder, TF2 or anything like that, will handle the class 0 courses pretty easily. So, and the first year I did class 0, I did it with a VS4-10 Pro, and it did just fine. I did no winching or anything like that, and managed, I think, a 3rd place finish. So this time we have a Phoenix F10 portals under here, so we have some portals, and we do have some extra stuff in there too. So I think we're in a even better platform than we were last time. But all in all, another reason the LC70, it's just one of my favorite RC bodies. I've had a couple of them. I've never had one like virgin, like untouched before, so it was actually kind of nice to actually put the whole kit together and everything like that. I skipped a few of the details just because, like, I don't need to do a whole lot in case something does like break or fall off, but I put like the mirrors, little snorkel on there. I lost the snorkel cap somewhere, but then it also did come with some sliders here because, again, like some gaps. So here's where the VS4-10 sliders end and where the slider would bolt to. So there would be about a 1/2 inch gap between the slider and the body. So I took the sliders that came with the kit, and they width-wise, mount-wise, lined up perfectly to set on top of the stock sliders. So I just drilled a couple holes, and threw some bolts in, and slid up there nice and good. So actually the sliders are nice up with the body, so there's no significant gap there. Again, the visual gap down here, but I'd rather have it down here than actual between there. That air gap between the body, not a huge fan of. It's just personal. I just don't like it. Class 0, no points. It just has to have 10 scale accessories, which is pretty easy. So we just threw some stuff in the bed, called it good. In between rotors and winch and everything else, plenty of scale accessories there. And then speaking of wheels and tires here, so we have some Shift Maverick 1.9s. These are in the copper color. Just a really, really cool color there. And the tires, we have some the J Concepts Hunk tires, the class 1, but they are 3.93 inches tall. So perfect for class 0 as well. I've used those tires before, so they work really, really good. So let's pop the body off real quick here. Nothing crazy, just a VS4-10 Phoenix. I just had to pull like the inner fenders there off the front just because they were a little too tall. I wanted to get the body down even lower. And in the rear, I'd already had the IERC shock towers in the rear to give me just a little more adjustability and play with the rear ride height a little bit. So a little lower profile, and then that's what I was talking about. I just took like an M4 bolt through the bottom of the big cross chassis spacer here and used those Proline caps that I use on a lot of my builds, and worked out pretty good. And then, like I mentioned on the sliders, and like I said, width-wise, these sliders lined up perfectly, like with the VS4-10. So I just drilled my own holes and put some bolts through and called her good. Stock shocks. Transmission's got a new fresh set of gears in it. And then here is the stock brace that comes with the LC70 kit. So I just bolted it to the front of the rails here on the panhard, and then on an empty slot on the other side. Velcro, and called her good. And then electronics-wise, ESC, we're running the Castle Mamba X Micro 2. And then motor, we have the Three Brothers RC Aces 10, 1600 kV, super smooth, tons of control. And then servo, we're running Three Brothers G14 servo that I had still laying around. And then for winch, I wanted an internal spool winch because I had to, I didn't want to worry about the guides or anything like that, and I don't like my spool hanging down low, so we have one of the Reef's 300 IS comp spec winches in there. So internal spool, I don't have to worry about the line or anything coming loose, and it'll be plenty strong and fast for Class 0. Not too worried about it. I don't probably foresee it getting a whole lot of use in Class 0, but it's there just in case. If stuff gets weird, I have a winch if all else fails. All in all, very happy. Just a simple build, VS4-10 Phoenix with a hard body. And, you know, nothing too aggressive. A little more on the scale side, but, you know, it's fun. Like I said, there's more classes there. I'm going to do as much as I can. So, definitely happy. Like I said, I do have just a tarp covering the shock tower for now, just for visual effect, but the last thing I did, I do need to make a tonneau cover for it, and I have it cut out. I just haven't got it mounted on there yet, and that's the last piece. And so it's ready to rock and roll, you know, coming up fast. So again, lots of classes at Crawlapalooza, so I'm going to try my best to get some footage and everything of all the different classes, and some Class 0 and all the way through everything. As much as I can fit in, as much as I can do and get video, we're going to do as much as we can. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully hopefully get some more good running videos similar to how we had there at from Apex the last month. So hope you enjoyed the video. Any comments, questions, anything like that, as always, put them down below. Do my best to get everything answered. I'll link in the description, you know, VS4-10, the base Phoenix, the body, and a few things that, and at least list out my build that I used. Again, hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and until next time, everyone, have a great one. Crawl on.